G'day, NotJah Witness here for my second video from my interview with 50 Shades of Grey Skeptic Mac on my history growing up in and then growing out of the religious cult that we call Jehovah's Witnesses. This one is a bit more personal, giving you just a taste of who I am, so grab a beer and strap in for the fun.
But yeah, I definitely know what you mean by, if you think you're right, you really don't need to watch yourself. If you have the truth, well, then you have the right to push that truth and tell people that they're wrong.
That's it. And we get indoctrinated on what the responses are, like what the counter arguments are. And it's always going to be a strawman argument. And the reason that you'll always get those standardized responses is that's just been brainwashed into them, and they don't actually answer your question. They're just answering, the question that they were given in the book, and then giving the answer that they were given in the book. You know what I mean? Like, they just hear a single word. Maybe you said evolution. Maybe you said this, and they'll go, "What was that response I read?"
Yeah.
Excuse me.
You have to go back to jw.org to find your answer to give people.
Yeah, like I back in my day, it was watchtowers in the Bible, and yeah, but exactly.
That reminds me a little bit. Not to get too off topic, but I was watching. I can't remember her name, but the lady who made the documentary, "Take the Red Pill," and she was saying, I'm sorry?
I haven't actually seen that. I've heard about it.
Yeah, it's I actually haven't watched it yet myself, but I have watched or listened to about 6 or 7 hours worth of interviews on it.
Oh, fair enough.
So I pretty much got the gist of it.
You'd hope you would after that.
Yeah, because I was so interested in the feedback that she got, which was a lot of negativity, obviously, because feminists don't like anything that oppose them. But she was talking about how when she was doing these interviews with MRA activists, she found herself, when she watched the video back, she just found herself waiting for trigger words, just waiting for something that she could respond to, like, "Ooh, I gotcha."
Yeah.
Go on that spiel. So
you're not really listening. You're just waiting for your opportunity to spout the response.
Right. Yeah. It's not a real conversation if you're not really trying to hear what someone else is saying to you. It's just, yeah, let's talk, but you're really just waiting to correct them. And I've also been in those shoes, not quite as much as what you two have told me, but I can imagine it's about like that. You're just waiting to correct them to make your point.
But that's all they've got, because ultimately they are, like, before they walk up to your door, that's their goal. Their one goal is to get you to a Bible study, or to get you reading their books, and to get you interested in their religion. That's all they want to do. They don't give a shit about anything else. They're going to ask you about your day, or they're going to see your kids and say, "Oh, what a lovely family." They don't care. They're just going to use that to get you to do a Bible study, or try to.
Well, what else do I have for you? I wanted to know more about your earlier life as a JW, and I know you said around 12 is when you started to kind of move away from it.
Yeah, that's when roughly when I did that hard leave with the elder.
Okay, so then what happened after that? Because you still had to go to church after that, right?
Nope.
No?
Nope. See, again, that's where I was probably lucky in it, with my father not being of any religion, so he never went to church, the meetings. And so by that point, with how it all went down, basically, yeah, that was when I was allowed to stay home.
Okay. So how'd that work with your parents, if you don't mind me asking? Because usually you have to be a Jehovah's Witness to marry a Jehovah's Witness.
that was probably the worst time in my mum's life, because that was the one time that she got discommunicated from religion. Was when she met Dad and they got together before being married. Like, not for long. They got married pretty soon after, but that was enough for her to have risked everything. You know how they go.
Yeah.
As for after that, how it all sort of resolved itself, I'm not too sure. I mean, it obviously did. Might have helped that it was a small country town and they needed all of the JWs that they could get, maybe. I don't know. That was a bit before my time. So by the time I came around, it was just already set in stone. So I don't know how it ultimately was resolved. It was just never something that was brought up too much. Mum still tries to bring him to meetings. Like the memorial the other day, she was still hopeful. I don't know why, but she was.
Yeah. So that
yeah.
that raises an interesting one for me, because when I offered Fenrir a drink during our interview, he said he could, and I know a lot of Christians can't. How do they look at that, and how's that go along with abuse later on? What's the protocol?
I'm probably not the best person to ask about that, because when I was in the faith, I was way too young to have dealt with anything like that, and now all I can really go by is their literature. And
if you don't mind, I could probably answer that for you.
Yeah, by all means, go for it.
Yeah, alcohol is a pretty big problem within the faith, actually. It's one of the only things that Jehovah's Witnesses can actually do. So a lot of them will go crazy with it. It's a pretty well-known thing at the Bethel headquarters. At least I know for sure at the United States branches in New York, there is a alcoholic problem with all the young people that work there all the time, because it's one of the few things that they can do. So a lot of people drink, and they indulge in it. Technically, you're not supposed to. One of the because something in the Bible says that you're not supposed to get drunk and to where you're don't function, but people don't really regulate that too much within the faith, and people go crazy with it. Most of the elders that I've known my whole life, talking with my father and stuff, they all just love to talk about, when they get home from work or from the meetings, they just sit down and have a beer because it helps relieve the stress of the day.
I got to admit, Fenrir, that kind of sounds like everyone's everyday life here in Australia. We just, you finish your day, everyone comes home and has, a carton to drink and passes out. So I was just thinking as you were saying that, I can definitely imagine the JWs here having alcohol problems.
Yeah.
So then what's your drink of choice?
Mine?
Yeah.
I'm a beer drinker. I don't know if you guys get Han up there. HAHN.
Don't know about that one.
Is it?
It's a nice beer. Nothing special.
Well, then I have a couple of questions, not Jehovah's Witness based for you, just so we can get a little bit of an idea of who you are and what you do. Do you mind if I ask you a couple personal questions then?
Go for it. The worst I can do is say you don't want to answer. So, yeah.
Fair enough. All right. What do you do for a living, or about?
Family business in a trade.
Okay. Do you like it?
I wouldn't say I necessarily like the work itself, but I don't mind working with the family.
Okay.
We all get along pretty well, so.
That's good.
Do you mind if I ask, is the trade, having a trade as your job, does that have anything to do with growing up or, having witnessed family members not really encouraging you to pursue a career in anything or higher education?
No, that's just unfortunate set of circumstances. Due to my disability, I find it really hard finding work. And so literally the only person around that would hire me was my dad. And it makes the work itself, because it's physical work, a bit hard, but, you know, at least I got a job.
Yeah. And you've mentioned that a couple times in your videos. Do you mind if I ask what your disability is?
I don't mind. It's just that I don't want to give away, because it's a very unique disability. So it'd be very easy to pinpoint who I am if I gave too many details, but it's basically in a certain part of my body I have where normally there would be muscle, I don't have those muscles.
Gotcha.
Yeah, so...
Gotcha, so you're definitely...
Yeah, that's pretty much.
Definitely limited then.
Yes. However, unfortunately, not to the extent where I can claim any form of disability pension or welfare.
Oh.
Yeah, it sucks.
Yeah, really unfortunate.
Yeah.
I've known a few people like that who've been in those shoes. Like, well, they can't work, or they can't do this, can't do that, but they also can't.
That's why I'm definitely fortunate that I have the job that I have, because I know that without that I'd be screwed.
Yeah. Well, again, especially in that case, it's really nice that you have a really good relationship still with your family.
Absolutely.
Yeah. You also mentioned in your videos that you like science.
Yes.
What kind of science do you prefer? What do you really enjoy? What strikes your fancy?
It probably more depends on what my mood, like not mood is, but just what jumps out at me, you know, because I kind of like I love learning. I love exploring things that I don't know or I don't appreciate properly. That's just the way, and I think that's to the fault of the Jehovah's Witnesses, because it might have even just been my mum and the way she taught me. But it was always about learning the other side and finding out from that why, you know, like you're right or you're wrong, or, you know, a way around to find the answer, or to find a conclusion, a solution, or, you know, something, depending on what you're, you know, researching or doing. But and from taking that sort of ideal from the Jehovah's Witness point of view, I would, you know, it'd be taught to me that's why you read the Watchtower books and stuff. You know, you're learning more about it and blah blah blah. But in reality, it's applied by, you know, any actual new, you know, discovery maybe, or it's the SpaceX stuff that's been happening recently, and that's been blowing my mind. It's just anything that jumps out at me, and I will devour it.
So it doesn't matter if it's astronomy, biology, marine biology, archaeology, just all of it.
All of the above. Like, I mean, my favorite thing as a kid was I wanted to be a paleontologist.
Oh, cool.
Oh my gosh, that's funny, because I did too.
I know. I remember. I think I heard you saying that, and I was like, "Oh, cool." And I live 2 hours from a major site in the middle of Queensland.
Oh, neat.
And so it was just a huge fascination for me, and that's a heavy science. Like, we didn't get taught that dinosaurs lived with men, and so fossils were never an issue, you know. So I never had that dilemma that most Christians, New Earth creationists or whatever, have.
Yeah.
So that, you know, I never got prevented from being able to look into science, because that was the way that God made everything work. You know, that was just he did that. It wasn't that he did the Big Bang even. It was just he implemented it and he stepped back. You know what I mean? Like, so you can freely explore the sciences, and none of it's going to contradict the idea of God. Doesn't work that way, but still.
Right. I agree. But I also kind of had the same kind of upbringing and the same freedom, but I never knew what evolution was. I didn't know what the Big Bang was. It's just like things were open to me, but at the same time, I wasn't a strong reader growing up. And if my parents didn't agree with it, then they just kind of didn't teach me. And I was homeschooled for about half of my school career. So
because that would make it really hard. I always wanted to be homeschooled. I thought that was the answer. But I was looking at it from, being in a public school, being bullied and all that crap. I didn't obviously see it as that, you're just going to get brainwashed to only what you're meant to know. Then there's no freedom of learning,
Yeah, it's very easy to get closed off from education that way. And like my mom was really great. Like she really tried her best, and she did a good job. There's just some things she ignored, which later on made me feel really, really stupid. So.
No, I know exactly how that feels, because it's the same kind of thing with how I said before earlier that my mum would be my religion teacher, and so I would only get taught certain things, and in those cases then I would go and present my case to the other kids that are getting normal classes, and they're laughing at me, and I don't realize, I think they're laughing at me because they just don't care, but no, it's because they know what I'm being taught and they know better.
Right, and you're just thinking, oh, well, they're all fucking heathens.
Pretty much, well, they're wrong and I'm right.
Yeah. Now we all said that you both said that you wanted to be paleontologists at one point. I was closer to wanting to be an astronaut, I think, but I also really loved dinosaurs. There was volcanoes, outer space, and dinosaurs for me growing up.
They're like a human extreme. Like the dinosaurs are a long extinct thing that we're never ever going to experience. And for most of us, space is that same thing. It's such an extreme distance that we're never going to experience. So that they're two very good wishes, for a kid. That's either that or a firefighter.
Yeah. So I was going to ask though if you got to see Jurassic Park when you were a kid.
Yes.
Yes. Okay. I didn't know if they had it. I figured they did, but as an American, I would just assume you have everything I do.
Yeah. Very much do.
So
a little bit deeper and a little bit later.
Okay. All right. Yeah. So because I think we're all about the same age, and I figured that might have had something to do with it. Would you guys say that's about right?
That's a good point. Yeah. No, actually, The Land Before Time.
Oh, yeah.
I've always known that was the very first movie I ever watched in my life, and still probably my number one movie ever. I love that movie.
That's such a sad movie. It
is. I know. And it's not even. It's sad on another level because the girl that played Ducky.
Yeah.
Yep. And how her name is Judith Barcy, and how she had a horrible end to her life. Not about a year later,
didn't he?
Yeah.
Oh wow!
So and killed and burnt the house down, and so that movie I always I'll go back and I'll watch, and I'll always have a little note and remember Judith for that because she was a bloody good talent.
Yeah.
Wow, I never heard it. I never heard that before.
Yeah.
That's sad.
Same girl. The little kids movie All Dogs Go to Heaven. She played the little girl in that cartoon. That came out just after she passed away.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's sad.
Yeah. Sorry, that I wasn't meant to bring it all down. It was just I love that movie.
Yeah.
Oh God, the press.
That was my fault.
The brain.
Well, yes, that ended abruptly, but sometimes it happens. Trust me, we do pick the mood back up in no time. If you want to catch the full interview, it is linked down below, and make sure to check out Mac Clark, the Grey Skeptic, and Sub the Man. You can find a fantastic interview with another former J-Dub, Fenrir the God Eater, by Mac on his channel, so don't miss it. While you're at it, go say g'day to Fenrir and his channel too. So make sure to leave your thoughts in the comments section down below. If you agree, disagree, or wish to correct me, feel free. Plus, if you have any other topics you want me to cover or dig deeper into, leave them down there too. I am on the Twitter machine at NotJah Witness if you wanted to get into a Twitter war with me, but I should warn you that I will not take it seriously. Anyway, if you'd like to see more on the J-dubs or other religious beliefs, as I do what I can to expose and refute them where I can, hit that like button and please subscribe. I truly appreciate it. I hope you all have a beautiful day. Thank you for watching, and remember, I'm not your witness.
All I wanna do is live.